It is Neil Atkinson and John Gibbons on Talking Reds, having got back from Paris on this Sunday. Parade about to happen outside. We haven't really freshened up, we've just changed our clothes. We're hoping it's going to bear fruit where rewards are concerned. It's been such a strange few days, John. We had our live event on Friday night, which was great, and thank you to everyone who came down to that. There was the thing that we were lucky enough to do in the fan park, and I really do mean lucky and privileged to do in the fan park on Saturday. There was everything else we got to see at the fan park on Saturday, some of which was fantastic. The Sense of Sound singers were tremendous. Jamie, obviously, the absolute business, but everyone was on it, as you would expect. And then there is the events both on and off the pitch of Saturday night, and it makes it all quite hard to take in. I think it's going to be it's a lot of life, is the way in which I was framing it last night. You feel like you've had a lot of life in the last 72 hours.
Even going through all that, just feels like just there's so much to take in, do you know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, I'd sort of half forgotten about the events on Friday night because there has sort of been so much really. It's the longest we've done for the final, isn't it? I mean, Kiev, we were there famously 2 minutes before we were on stage.
I mean, we did longer, but it was just mostly bus.
Yeah, no, in the host city is what I mean. Madrid, we got there sort of the night before, whereas this time we had a couple of days there. So we have packed a lot in. We've done a lot. We've spoken to a lot of people, and we've really enjoyed it. You know, the fan park being the sort of, you know, the piece de resistance, as they say in France. So I'm really hoping that...
We learned a thing or two out there.
As I say, we got there Thursday. But I'm really hoping that those memories are the ones that sort of end up living with me a lot rather than last night. But obviously at the moment, last night is the freshest, it's the rawest. You know, we've sort of slept on it, but you're sleeping on the bus, so not really, you know, so you still sort of feel like you're living on it. And also, to be honest, with a bit more reflection, I'm almost kind of like realising more what a sort of dangerous situation was, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Sometimes when you're sort of in the moment, you're just trying to sort of get out of it and you go into sort of survival mode, or, you know, you're just trying to like, you know, think your way out of things. Whereas, you know, actually looking back, I mean, it was seriously moody when we come out. Do you know what I mean? And you know, I was just trying to like get us out of there and stuff. And
it's getting out that I keep thinking back on.
And stuff like that. And then you're hearing about the stories, what's happened to other people in terms of, you know, getting hurt or getting things stolen and stuff, and thinking like, well, actually, do you know what I mean? For all of us who were on our bus to get back to our hotel and get back on the bus, you know, there's an element of luck there, which obviously there shouldn't be.
There shouldn't be at all the way through on all of these little bits and pieces. John, there, you know, talking about and thinking about Saturday night. The first thing about this, John, and I do want to get it out the way early, just in case there is any shadow of a doubt, the French police and UEFA, but put UEFA into a separate bucket for a second, the French police are not Paris. Everywhere's got its share of dickheads, everywhere's got its share of bad police, I would argue. They're not Paris, and we've got to remember that all the way through, because we'd had a really good time in Paris with a lot of really good Parisians before that point.
Yeah, it's almost like a stark contrast, isn't it, to how the city welcomed us, and then suddenly, you know, you've got the police, and it was...
And the local gangs as well around the
stadium.
Yeah,
of course, but they've gone on against you in particular, do you know what I mean? They just wanted to bunk into the final, then obviously there was, you know, pickpocketing and stuff going on there as well, but they'd have done that with anyone, do you know what I mean? Whereas with the police, it did feel, you know, you're more aggrieved with that, because it felt like, you know, they were obviously policing us in a very different way to how they're policing the Madrid fans. You know, they were asking us to do things, apparently for Madrid, for getting in through the checks, it was all relatively straightforward. For us, we're being sent, you know, to the moon and back, and through the most narrow things, and in the most unsafe sort of conditions. And so that's kind of you know, a real frustrating thing for me. And listen, I understand, as I say, we've been there since Thursday, so we've had all this sort of loveliness. If you're on like a day trip or whatever, you know, we were speaking to Johnny Milburn on the bus, and he was saying one of his mates has flown out Saturday morning, not got into the game, and had to fly straight back. And so if that's your experience, then of course you're like, oh well, I saw Paris, I'm never going again. But I think we're able to sort of differentiate a little bit more between, you know, how welcomed we were, you know, in the cafes and bars and wherever sort of people went, to sort of, you know, the police brutality, and that's what I would call it, that we got on Saturday night.
On the pitch, they don't win. Ultimately, reflecting on that, insofar as I've been properly able to so far, I do sort of more and more to the idea of there's a bit of hard lines. The goalkeeper has a belter. Maybe they should have created one or two more real quality chances. But Salah could have had a hat-trick. When I was sort of counting them back up in my head before, Salah could have had a hat-trick.
Yeah, I will watch it back, partly because I didn't completely engaged with it because of everything that's sort of gone on. Really, it was a hard game to sort of fully immerse yourself into because, you know, you were getting messages from people back home checking you were all right.
Yeah.
You know, you were a bit sort of shell-shocked yourself, and then obviously you're worrying about your friends and stuff in different parts of the ground. So I will watch it back, but I do remember thinking after about 35 minutes, this is a really mature performance for the final. I'm thinking we're going to go on and win with this 1 or 2-0, and everyone's going to talk about Liverpool like what a, you know, what a controlling performance that it
really
was.
Funny,
you know,
yeah.
they sort of, you know, they out-season the season pros, if you like, you know what I mean. Everyone's talking about Madrid and how they, you know what they're doing in these finals. And I thought we're almost schooling them a little bit here. And then there was their chance that came out of nowhere. That was, you know, given offside and eventually sort of confirmed, and it just seemed to rattle us a little bit. And then suddenly we wanted to get to half time, and then I thought, well, half time would be good for us, but the second half I didn't think we started sort of that much better really. And after their goal, we sort of responded well really. I thought, you know, without always making the best decisions, at least we sort of got back on top. But it was that period, 42 to sort of 60, if you like, where the game was ultimately lost.
And that's a really interesting way to frame it and to phrase it as well, because I do think that, for instance, if Liverpool score the first goal, they go on and win the game. And then if Liverpool do score that first goal, as you say, everyone would say, my God, the maturity of Liverpool, it's astonishing.
And they can't have been closer with that Manny one that hits the post.
No.
Because, you know, it's a good save, but, you know, it could go hit the post and go in. It could hit the post, hit his back and go in, do you know what I mean? The Salah's right there, you know, so there's a lot of ways where Courtois, he deserves his luck because he's brilliant, but he gets a little bit lucky with it, and we're obviously unlucky.
We are indeed. Are you looking forward to the parade?
I am, yeah. It was really nice to land back.
Yeah.
Much nicer than I sort of, not that I thought it would be, like, I hadn't really thought about it. I was thinking, we'll come back here, we'll dump the stuff. There's a lot of people out already, the horns are going.
See more stewards out there than I saw all the way through Paris. Yeah. Just to hasten to add, you know what I mean? We've only crossed the road from the Tesco. We just crossed the Strand.
Yeah, and we had a laugh with them girls from Mersey travelled in. We said, oh, you just off the bus, you don't smell too bad, and stuff like that. I mean, they were a little distance away, is what I would say. But you know, do you know what? It felt like we were back together. Do you know what I mean? Like you're back with, you know, your people, if that's not sort of a too cheesy thing to say. But it felt like coming off the bus, I felt like Liverpool gave us a big hug in a shape of a woman in a Mersey travel jacket. Just gave us all a big hug, really. And I needed it, Neil. I needed it.
We all needed it. It's good to be home. That's Talking Red. See you soon.